Lancaster wanted to work in circuses and sports when he was younger, where he shone his exceptional physical power, a component that eventually turned into a signature in a lot of his early movies roles. The circus training he received was not a young adventurer, but a reliable basis for his cinematic career. Assisting Lancaster is notable for his dexterity and self-assurance when pulling out his own antics, something that was uncommon for actors in his era. His shift from the ring of the circus to the 1940s saw the advent of the silver screen when Hollywood noticed his impressive appearance, lofty stature, and magnetic field. His significant discovery was made in 1946 along The Killers, the movie where Lancaster decked a depressed boxer. This position not only made him more A-list celebrity, but additionally validated High's acting prowess. Capable of embodying multi-layered, intricate characters, the amalgamation of tough masculinity, the intensity of feeling distinguished him from a large number of his peers while opening chances to perform in a variety of genres, including epic and westerns, films and dramas that address social issues. One of Burt's distinguishing features, Lancaster's career was built on his readiness to disregard Hollywood's established norms and anticipations. During the 1950s, he partnered with James Hill and Harold Heckwell to heckle his own manufacturing firm, Lancaster. This audacious action provided Lancaster more control over the initiatives he selected, enabling him to support movies that were more bold in terms of art and socha, more pertinent than the typical studio output of the time. One of the most notable pieces from this marty 1955 was The Time Period, which won the Best Picture Academy Award Image, and received recognition for its unvarnished and poignant depiction of daily existence, and a 1958 movie about love and different tables that investigated nuanced feelings and urgent societal problems. The function of Lancaster as a producer, his commitment not just to acting, but also to advancing the film industry into a revered and serious art genre. Over the course of his lengthy career, Lancaster received praise from critics and several accolades, such as 2 Academy Prizes. In 1960, he received his first Oscar for his remarkable performance in Elmer Gantry, in which he played a former prisoner until reconstruct his life. It was a thrilling part that blended charm, threat, and ethical uncertainty, and it demonstrated the astounding depth and adaptability that made Lancaster one of the best actors in Hollywood. Later, Lancaster obtained his second Birdman of Alcatraz, won an Academy Award 1962. Playing a murderer with a conviction woe changed into a reputable prison reformer and well-known Burt knowledgeable. This position, among others, emphasized Lancaster's special gift for bringing to life extremely faulty but intricate personalities and combining them with compassion and subtlety that uplifted Thimion's basic stereotypes. In addition to his on-screen accomplishments, Burt received equal recognition for his moral rectitude and social engagement. A fervent advocate for civil rights, he frequently made use of his celebrity platform to support causes that were important to him. At a period when many people in Hollywood shunned Lancaster's political engagement, standing in addition to being a vocal opponent of racism, societal injustice and inequality. Additionally, his involvement included endorsing rights of artists and labor unions, demonstrating his strong dedication to equity and respect for human dignity. He was admired for these values in addition to viewers, but also from corkers and the community at large. Lancaster's impact on film persisted during the 70s and 80s as he continued to adopt a variety of difficult positions. One of his most noteworthy later shows included The Swimmer, 1968, a bizarre and deeply affecting me that eventually became a cult favorite classic, as well as 1980's Atlantic City, which earned him a second Academy Award nomination. In these pieces, Lancaster illustrated his proficiency at portraying elderly characters' great depth and poignancy, demonstrating his flexibility despite Hollywood's single quotes as hanged. As a private individual, Burt Lancaster 3 marriages and 5 children, kids, every chapter on marriage and families that is marked a clear time of development and challenge, reflecting the rigor and intricacy of his renowned Hollywood profession. Beyond the charm and physical strength that characterized his reputation, Lancaster's personal affairs exposed the legendary star's more personal side. The first marriage of Burt Lancaster was to June Ernst, a lady with origins and closely associated with the circus industry and airborne demonstration. June is not your typical partner. She was a trapeze performer who was born into a family that had a long history of success in aviation artistic ability. Her mom was a well-known realist, an innovator in the field of circus scene during a period when ladies performers were innovating. June carried on this bold tradition and has already established himself as a competent acrobat prior to marriage. Lancaster following their marriage, Burt grew close to bonded with her family in the circus, Evan accompanying them on stage and honing his unique methods of acrobatics. These years were pivotal in forming the physical presence and athleticism that would subsequently come to characterize his Hollywood prophecy. However, in spite of their mutual love for performance, the union did in single quotes tenure by the late 1930s, the couple had split up. However, the precise year of their split remained a little hazy, although some recent sources position it later. Biographers in 1940 using numerous documents have indicated that it might have occurred as recently as 1946. There are now more issues because of this uncertainty. With relation to Lancaster's timeline and later partnerships, such as his union with Norma, his second wife Anderson, from 1917 to 1988. Norma entered the life of Lancaster during the odd conflict conditions, at first employed as a stenographer. She entered the public eye by covering for a sick actress in a program intended to amuse American soldiers based in Italy. Destiny stepped in during this time. While traveling from the airport into the city in a crowd, Norma spotted Burt Lancaster and was instantly enthralled with his impressive appearance and strong presence. She inquired curiously of the adjacent officer, "Who's that attractive officer, and is he you married?" Seeing the opportunity, the officer set up a blind date for the couple that evening, signaling the start of their love affair. The meeting between Burt Lancaster and it began with Norma Anderson, a crucial period in his life. In 1946, they got married and started a collaboration that was both intimate and politically active. Norma was an ardent activist who dedicated her life. Too much of her efforts is directed towards social political reasons. Their bare home even had a printing-specific space. Presses and supplies for distribution. Demonstrating her extensive participation in the League of Women Voters is a group committed to advancing civic instruction and promoting women's involvement in democracy. In addition, Norma was a long-time NAACP member, and she and Lancaster had a similar dedication to civil rights. Their commitment was demonstrated when they held a Martin fundraiser at the Southern States and Luther King Jr. Christian Leadership Conference prior Tufts historic March on Washington in 1963, an incident that highlighted their readiness to take a public stance for equity and fairness amid a defining turning point in American history. Burt and Norma raised 5 children together, kids who would Bill Lancaster eventually make a name for himself as an actor, and Susan James Lancaster, and the screenwriter Joanna Lancaster, who turned Becca Mia movie producer, and Sile said Lancaster Sheila. The family externally portrayed the betrayal of an active and political little home. However, beneath the surface, their union encountered numerous difficulties. The persistent requirements of Lancaster's professions and personal stresses increased the strain on their connection. The two parted ways in 1966, and there in 1969. The divorce was formalized approximately when this Lancaster initiated a lengthy but tumultuous relationship with Jackie while filming. He met a hairstylist named Bone in the late 1960s. The professionals, their relationship was as intense as it was unstable. One particularly well-known in a place during a dinner party that was attended by sector leaders like Sidney, the director-actor Peter Falk and Pollock, when Lancaster was hit over the head with a bottle of wine. The incident became representative of once yet explosive character of their relationship. The connection between Burt Lancaster and Jackie Bone ultimately reached a consensus on conclude following Bone's religion transformation. A man with his own complex, Lancaster a system of values and ideas, discovered their disparities in spirituality and tractal, which eventually resulted in their split. His third and last marriage occurred a long time after Hemreid in September 1992, Susan Martin. In contrast to his previous, more well-known marriages, this partnership was more subdued and far less closely examined by the media. It persisted until the death of Lancaster in 1994, providing him with security and friendship into his last years. Susan Martin accompanied him during times when health is deteriorating, offering consolation when he considered his lengthy and renowned career. Toward the end of his days, Lancaster, formerly the epitome of Hollywood canfighting and close friends about masculinity, kissing a secret and intensely privateer secret, romantic relationship from his past connections with a number of the most famous individuals from his generation who were closeted, when homosexuality was not considered to be not only forbidden but also potentially harmful to one's profession. Lancaster relocated, wandering in a secret realm of vulnerability, closeness, and prudence. Behind the glitzy exterior of the Hollywood's golden age, among the most unexpected relationships was his relationship with Cary Grant, romantic, generally considered to be among the finest, charming, and sophisticated actors of his time. Lancaster was captivated by Grant's grace, witty humor, and enigmatic appeal. They met during a business gathering. Late in the 1940s. Both were well-known stars. By that point, despite the fact that they came from diverse circles of film, Grant, who had lived together for many years with Randolph Scott, an actor, a relationship that is frequently later understood as kept a cautious public image of elegance and attractiveness to heterosexuals. Lancaster remembered their relationship as a connection that is both captivating and restricted, that took place over the weekend in secreted ways at exclusive beach homes along the Pacific Coast Road. Grant's strong need for seclusion was always there, his fear of being seen evident even with someone as bold as Lancaster, but in the end, their romance emotional impact was fleeting, concluding with Grant retreating deeper in teeth defense mechanism he had established for himself. Possibly the most shocking discovery of Lancaster asserted that a quick and unexpected engagement with J. Edgar, the strong FBI chief who had enormous influence over American politics as well as mid-century culture. Hoover, an unmarried man who was long rumored to have had a close friendship with Clyde Tolson, his assistant, was not yet a member of Hollywood but strong connections to the sector through his impact on the manner in which law enforcement and on the television morality was portrayed. Lancaster remembered their initial meeting with J. Edgar Hoover via reciprocal friends at a high-end charity event in Washington, D.C. They had a relationship with not a conventional love story, but rather it was a secretive romance in the balance of power, according to Lancaster. Hoover was a male, yearning for intimacy but plagued by his personal identity. Although disturbing, this short participation provided Lancaster with an uncommon information on the personal life of one of the most mysterious political figure in American numbers. One more of Lancaster's deeper involved relationships with Rock Hudson, the archetypal Hollywood star, revered for his imposing figure and charm. In a movie, they first met in the beginning of the 1950s, when Hudson's fame. During that period, Hudson living under the close observation of his personal life and studio executive ensconced with care to save his career. His AIDS-related death occurred decades later. The truth would be confirmed in 1985. He had been made to hide. Lancaster recalled Hudson as a good person and kind nature inside the body of a man who longed for love, a gladiator, yet thought it was always out of reach. They had a long-standing secret during their time together, journeys by car over the desert where they might avoid the spotlight of the cameras and live freely, even for little periods of time. Days. Lancaster recognized Hudson's requirement for discretion, and their partnership terminated. Not as a result of diminishing love, but since there could be no permanence in a society that required denial and silence. Possibly the most unexpected name associated with Ricky Nelson arrived in Lancaster, Decliankit teenage idol who became well-known Onassi in Harriet's Adventures. Almost 20 years younger than Lancaster, Nelson was negotiating the challenging inch from kid star to adult early 1960s performer when he briefly interacted with the older performer. Despite being brief, the partnership had a long-term effect on Nelson. Lancaster served as a mentor and a defense against the demands of celebrity, but Lancaster acknowledged the disparity between them and brought the softly feeling that Ricky needed to develop his own identity as the artist and the man. Later he said of Nelson with deep love, characterizing him as the young singer who sounded like he breeze and shared a kiss with the ravenous individual who has never been permitted to desire. Among Lancaster's many citrus relationships, none of which were more passionate or more intricate than his liaison with Brando. Marlon Lancaster was everything that Brando was, not erratic, strange, and unrepentantly rebellious. Lancaster claims that their relationship was explosive right from the start. Their paths initially met at a politically contentious Hollywood event late in the 1950s. With the igniting of, they were unquestionable, immediate, and raw. Known for his sexual versatility, Brando his contempt for tradition, drew Lancaster in with thought-provoking claims, fearless obstacles, and a captivating zen. Their partnership was erratic, egocentric, and creative impassion and a strong desire to rule others' bodily and emotional needs. Later, Lancaster would characterize Brando as the only man capable of fully undoing. Take a quick look at me. Their intermittent relationship extended over a number of years, finally breaking down due to the pressure of confidentiality in their egos, which cannot be reconciled. When combined, these hidden partnerships showed a significantly different Burt at Lancaster's side, as opposed to the one viewers saw on the screen. Beneath the swashbuckling image, a daring and tough leader, he was Armand, who occasionally showed intense love, but always without a word. When Lancaster made these secrets public, it wasn't a shock later in life. Buto freed himself from decades of between denial and concealment, a truth essential to his identity, as whatever part had played at some point. Burt Lancaster died in his Los Angeles apartment in Century City following his third heart attack 4:50 a.m. on the 20th of October 1994. His ashes were scattered when his body was burnt, buried behind a massive oak tree at Westwood Memorial Park, California Village. A small ground plaque with a bird inscription, Lancaster from 1913 until 1994, subtly commemorates their life according to his desires. No, there was a public memorial or funeral.